Hi, Idealistas. I'm just going to start reading to you guys. We're going to start off on page 508. We just read that they're trying to figure out what Horcruxes Voldemort might have created and what objects he might have used to create the Horcrux. So, Dumbledore and Harry are just discussing it right now, and Dumbledore said that Harry could go with Dumbledore to try and find the next one or destroy the next one. So we're at the top of page 508. Perhaps at the point of death he might be aware of his loss, but he was not aware, for instance, that the diary had been destroyed until he forced the truth out of Lucius Malfoy. When Voldemort discovered that the diary had been mutilated and robbed of all of its powers, I was told that his anger was terrible to behold. But I thought that he meant Lucius Malfoy to smuggle it into Hogwarts. Yes, he did, years ago, when he was sure he would be able to create a Horcrux, more Horcruxes, but still Lucius was supposed to wait for Voldemort to say so, and he never received it, so Voldemort vanished shortly after giving him the diary. No doubt he thought that Lucius would not dare to do anything with the Horcrux other than guard it carefully, but he was counting too much upon Lucius's fear of the Master, who had been gone for years, and whom Lucius believed dead. Of course, Lucius did not know what the diary really was. I understand that Voldemort had told him the diary would cause the Chamber of Secrets to reopen because it was cleverly enchanted. Had Lucius known he had held a portion of the Master's soul in his hands, he would undoubtedly have treated it with more reverence. But instead, he went ahead and carried out the old plan on his own ends. By planting the diary upon Arthur Weasley's daughter, he hoped to discredit Arthur to get rid of the highly incriminating magical object in one stroke. Poor Lucius. What with Voldemort's fury about the fact that he threw away a Horcrux of his own game, and that fiasco at the Ministry last year, I would not be surprised if he is not secretly glad to be safe in Azkaban at the moment. Harry sat and thought for a moment, and then said, "So if all of his Horcruxes are destroyed, Voldemort could be killed?" "Yes, I think so," said Dumbledore. "Without his Horcruxes, Voldemort will be a mortal man, with a maimed and diminished soul. Never forget, though, that while his soul may be damaged beyond repair, his brain and his magical powers remain intact. It will take uncommon skill and power to kill a wizard like Voldemort without his Horcruxes." But I haven't got uncommon skills and powers," said Harry before he could stop himself. "Yes, you have," said Dumbledore firmly. "You have a power that Voldemort has never had. You can—" "I know," said Harry impatiently. "I can love." It was only with difficulty that he stopped himself, adding, "Big deal." "Yes, Harry, you can love," said Dumbledore, who looked as though he knew perfectly well what Harry had just refrained from saying, which, given everything that has happened to you, is a great and remarkable thing. You are still too young to understand how unusual you are, Harry. "So, when the prophecy says that I'll have power the Dark Lord knows not, it just means love?" said Harry, feeling a little let down. "Yes, just love," said Dumbledore. "But Harry, never forget that what the prophecy says is only significant because Lord Voldemort made it so. I told you this at the end of last year. Voldemort singled you out as a person who would be most dangerous to him, and in doing so, he made you the person who would be the most dangerous to him." "But it comes to the same." "No, it doesn't," said Voldemort, sounding impatient now. Pointing at Harry with his black withered hand, he said, "You are setting too much store in the prophecy." "But," Harry sputtered, "but you said the prophecy means—" "If Voldemort had never heard of the prophecy, would it have been fulfilled? Would it have meant anything? Of course not. Do you think every prophecy in the Hall of Prophecy has been fulfilled?" "But," said Harry, bewildered, But last year, you said one of us would have to kill the other. Harry, only because Voldemort made a grave error and acted on Professor Trelawney's words. If Voldemort had never murdered your father, would he have imparted in you a furious desire for revenge? Of course not. If he had not forced your mother to die for you, would he have given you a magical protection he could not penetrate? Of course not, Harry. Don't you see? Voldemort himself created his worst enemy, just as tyrants everywhere do. Have you any idea how much tyrants fear the people they oppress? All of them realize that one day, amongst their many victims, there is sure to be one who rises against them and strikes back. Voldemort is no different. Always, he was on the lookout for the one who would challenge him. He heard the prophecy and he leapt into action. With the result that he had not only handpicked the man most likely to finish him, he handed him uniquely deadly weapons. But it is essential that you understand this, said Dumbledore, standing up and striding about the room, his glittering robe swooshing in his wake. Harry had never seen him so agitated. But attempting to kill you, Voldemort himself singled out the remarkable person who sits here in front of me and gave him the tools for the job. It is Voldemort's fault that you were able to see into his thoughts, his ambitions, that you even understand the snake-like language in which he gives orders. And yet, Harry, despite your privileged insight in Voldemort's world, which incidentally is a gift any Death Eater would kill to have, you have never been seduced by the dark arts, never, even for a second, shown the slightest desire to become one of Voldemort's followers. Okay, I'm going to stop there. I think that is a good place to stop. I think it's pretty cool and interesting that it's just kind of explaining how Harry came to be feared or turn Harry into the person that he was, right? So Dumbledore is just explaining how Voldemort kind of made him into his worst enemy. So I thought that was a good reading. We'll read the rest of it here. Hopefully we'll read the end of the rest of the chapter soon, but today read pages 508 to 510.